Hey y'all, it is a little early. It's a lot early, but I have a lot of work to do and I can't stay on that long. So I'm gonna wait, the 5 minutes and just jump right into it. I just wanted to get on early as I can so that way it did not mess me up from getting on because I don't have a lot of time. And basically, what I'm talking about when you see the title says "Not My Child," I have been encountering so many children, minority children, African American children, Hispanics, from Hispanics to different ethnicities of black people, and a lot of Caucasian as well, where I've worked in the school system and I work with them, and not only just working with them, but when I'm interacting and being involved with my child in her school, it is so sad. It is so sad how a lot of parents are in denial. And you being in denial right now is going to hurt your child later. Good evening, sis. I hope you are feeling better. Girl, your girl is, I have to push through. I just got back from my new position I was talking about. I literally have to go to work my other position at 10, and I have three 8-page audits that I have to do tonight. Try to get most of them in the computer before 10 o'clock, okay? And pictures and all this other stuff. So that's why I'm trying to get on and get this conversation popping. I can't stay on too long. I really can't do a whole hour. But okay, so thank you for asking. I really appreciate it. I I'm very frustrated. I'm gonna just give you an example of what made me very frustrated and to want to talk about this topic. So my daughter had, hey, how are you, Marcia? How are you, beautiful? My daughter had a field trip. And on the field trip, we were broke up into groups. Each grown up had so many kids. Well, first it was each one. That's good, babe. That's good. Each adult had 8 kids, and then what they did was they broke us up. Well, they added the two parents that were chaperone, and they put our kids together and broke and took some of them away. So we ended up getting 10 kids to each two adults, or whatever the case may be. Then the teacher and the other parent had the other 10. Yeah, 10. Because we only had 20 kids. There was this young man that was in my group, and it was so sad because I've worked with kids. I'm talking kids that had disabilities physically, kids that had disabilities mentally, kids that had disabilities emotionally, where they may have been depressed and different things like that. I've worked with a lot of kids like that in different careers that I had, and some in the school system teaching and stuff. So, and then even in the prison system. But here's the thing, guys. The problem is when you have a parent. Now, I'm talking to you, moms. If you are a mom, a dad, or whatever, and you are watching me, and please share this video. I am telling you this right now. If a teacher is not certified to understand the different disabilities that kids have, your child may be a certain type of child where they only learn a certain way. You may not even know how your child learns, but you know that there's something different about your child. You don't want to label, and it's hard because we don't want to label them, and you feel like if you say, oh, I'm admitting to my child having ADHD, or I'm admitting my child to have obsessive compulsive disorder around certain people and certain things, or whatever the case may be, you are right now not harming them, right? But it will harm them later. Meaning this, if you don't see in your child and understand that your child needs help and your child needs a special education, that does not mean, and in the black community, and I'm talking real because in the black community, a lot of times when you hear special ed or IEP, you think, oh, something's wrong with that kid, and I hate saying this word, but this is what it's that kid is retarded. That kid is slow. No, that kid has a special way of learning. That kid needs a independent educational plan. So when you hear people say, oh, they had to put them on an IEP, some parents don't even know what that means. Sometimes it can be bad when the situation that occurred to make that child get an IEP is always them acting out because they are not being fed the way they should be. This is what's hurting our brothers and sisters and our kids from a young age. Parents, if you have a child that needs help, if you see that that child is fidgety or that child doesn't hold attention well to certain things, you need to find that child, that special teacher, that special individual that can teach them on their level. Because what's going to happen is if you can't help and if you can't understand it, that child will become frustrated. So that little child that right now is just they don't know how to sit still because they're not being what is the word? Help me. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the word. Why every time I try to, it's a word, it's not cultivated. It's like they're not being fed right. And I'm using this word for lack of better words, but they're not being fed right. So therefore it becomes frustration. Frustration becomes sadness in some kids, but then it becomes anger in others. And then it becomes emotional disabilities as well, where they become depressed. They start having anxiety because what happens is they have these ailments that are, the word is coming and it keep going. Oh, it's not being stimulated. They're not being stimulated the right way. You have to figure out your child. You cannot be so into your job and into whatever you got going on that right now they're little and you just keep pushing them out and not listening to that teacher, not listening to that person that's telling you this child is too antsy. This child is too active. This child is always up. This child doesn't want to sit down. This When you hear that over and over, don't take it as negativity. Take it as someone warning you because all parents don't get that. Hello, Dana. How are you, beautiful? All parents don't get that. All parents don't pay attention. So because they don't, this child is labeled. So that disability that this child may have may turn into them being labeled as a bad child, being labeled as a kid who is very disrespectful. Well, a lot of times when you can't verbalize what you want and you can't explain what you're trying to say, I'm fine, babe, how are you? If you can't as an adult explain what you're trying to say, it's frustrating. So imagine a kid who hasn't been here long. It's even more frustrating. So the little boy that I had, he would not stop moving. He would not stop fidgeting. He would not stop talking back. He was just Now here's the thing. If you as a parent don't take the time to make sure that your child is in the appropriate class, an appropriate group setting to learn, he's stimulated to learn, because they may be more hands on. If you don't do that yourself, your child will be labeled as a problem child. And they, even though they don't want to say it, I worked in the school system and I know what they talk about behind closed doors, the teachers and stuff like that. I know that. It'll be a problem child and nobody wants them. So the next grade is waiting for the issue. So that teacher is already combative and waiting sometimes because that teacher may not understand that this kid has a problem until you get that teacher who genuinely loves teaching and loves and cares for children, no matter the color, no matter the nationality, no matter that. That's when you may have that teacher that can sit down and talk to you and tell you, hey, little Mikey needs an IEP, an individual education plan, or little Mikey needs to be in a class with less people to stimulate him, because a lot of stimulation for kids that are sensitive in certain areas can be overwhelming. And what happens when they get overwhelmed? They get frustrated and it can turn into anger. It can turn into things that they don't know how to communicate. And so now they're being labeled as a problem child. Ooh, stop tracking. Okay, now they're being labeled as a problem child. Let me see. I'm constantly been in communication with my son's teacher regarding his behavior because he has to learn that his way is not the only way. Yes, this happened to my grandson, and he has struggled with this and is now 18. Hate his mom and dad wasn't there to get the help he needed. Just put him on a see. No, awareness and learning what works for your child is important. Just talking about this yesterday. Well, you're right. it's good that you're in communication. And when you say, because he has to learn that his way is not the only way, no, his way is not the only way. But a lot of times, in order to get him to learn another way, they have to communicate his way. You have to communicate his way, because he's the one with the he has the issue. You know what I mean? He has the issue. So until they, who are certified and should be trained in this, learn how to deal with him to get him to open up, and they stimulate him, then they can teach him other ways. But you can't just teach him another way if he's not stimulated by even communicating with you. Just talking about, observe and learn their triggers. You have to observe. And a lot of times, like I was talking earlier, we push our kids off on people, and it's like, you better act right. You better act right till I get back, or don't make beat your tail, or whatever, whatever, whatever. Now, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do when kids acting up. It's a difference between acting up and showing off and misbehaving, and then acting out. Acting out is something that a lot of kids do when they don't know how to express themselves, when they can't tell you. Like, the little boy was trying to talk to the instructor, and he couldn't say what he wanted to say. He had a speech impediment as well. And I can see him getting frustrated, and I was just like, calm down, just breathe, breathe. Think about what you're going to say. Let us talk to somebody else, and then he'll come back to you. But see, here's the thing. When you don't put your kid in the right classroom, or try to figure out your kid and have that understanding to know your kid's triggers, your kid is placed in a classroom with kids who are advanced, meaning like they're more advanced and they know how to communicate. They don't have a problem with going with the flow of whatever, because they're not sensitive in education, as far as learning. Their sensitivities aren't as sensitive as another child who may be sensitive to noise, or touching, or being around certain people, because it's just something that happened as they grew up, or something that just God gave them. They're just sensitive to certain areas. Not that something is wrong with them. They're just different, in a good way, because we're all special. We're all unique. And that's why parents should not be afraid to make sure that they get help for these kids, because a lot of these kids end up being problems for the society later, or yourself, or they end up with you forever, because you have not took the time at a young age to get them in this world that's better for them, to help them to be able to understand that I am somebody, I can do this, and I can learn, and I can, you know what I'm saying, I can progress and proceed on with anything that I put my mind to. I just do it a little bit differently. Once you do that, it'll make you breathe and not feel like I had a child with a disability, or I had a child that was something wrong with it. No, you had a special child, and God see fit to give that child to you, and you have to figure out how to make this child be productive in this world and not be labeled as a problem, because no one understands their special ways of learning that God has placed on them. Of course, and I have to tell the teacher that, and also tell my son to talk with the teacher of how you feel or what happened then. Tell me. Right. A lot of times, though, these teachers don't have time. And that's why these children with a little bit more sensitivity in education, they have to be placed in smaller settings. Because here's the thing. I have a class, and I have a class of 28 kids. Really, and I'm being real, because I was on the other side. I cannot sit and talk to each of these 28 kids, or half of them, about an issue every time something is not right. That's why it's called special education. That means we are putting you in a smaller setting with people who need a smaller setting as well. That way I have time to give you what you need, and I can stimulate you and help you to communicate with me. And it's not too overwhelming for you. You get what I'm saying? It's not too overwhelming for you. So a lot of times parents don't want to remove their kids, because they feel like it's going to be a problem, or they feel like it's going to be, they're going to be picked on, or they're going to have issues with kids talking about them and all this other stuff. You know what? They got to get grown. They got to get grown. You hear me? They got to get it grown. They will become adults. So when they become adults, all the stuff that happened as a kid, I promise you, tell me, have you been bullied or talked about, called? They used to call me, I used to get picked on. Not not in school, but so much like people around my neighborhood, little boys or whatever, used to call top of my forehead because I got a nice one or whatever. But just the fact that it happened at that time, it bothered me, right? But as an adult, I'm like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So they're gonna get over it. They're gonna get over it. It's gonna be a process. It's gonna be some time. Moms, dads, you cannot let your pride ruin you and your children. You have to figure this out. I'm telling you, there's so many resources and so much money in the school districts all over. You don't even realize it. But you know what they do? They spend it for other things because so many parents are prideful to say, hey, my kid is not working in this class. This is not working. And do you not realize not only is it so much money, but it's money allocated and it has to be spent. So if you don't come forward and if there's not a lot of parents coming forward to get the help that these kids need, the money is just gone somewhere else. So talk to someone. It can even be someone that just pulls that kid away and works with them one on how to still get what they need from the regular classrooms without it being overwhelming and too much stimulation for them. So y'all definitely don't want to sleep on that. Look more into it. And they have to follow. If your kid has to have an IEP or if your kid has to go to special education and everything like that, those are strict. They cannot have that child in there and not allow this child to be stimulated in such a way where they are going to learn. So don't let them tell you otherwise. That realistic parent must be held accountable. It's true. They must be held accountable because these are kids and they don't know. They're just growing and learning. And even as adults, we're growing and learning as well. So to have them in that situation, all they know is how to act out. That's all they know is how to act out. And a lot of times, I'm telling you, I've seen it in a school setting, but then I've also seen it when I work with the juveniles from 11 to 21 in the prison system that come in. And I would talk to the counselors and the psychs and social workers, and they would say, like, this kid never, went to school, or this kid never got special education like they needed. And it was more of them just acting out all their life because that's all they knew to get attention. They didn't know how to get attention any other way because any other way no one paid them attention or they were being picked on. So we have to set pride aside. We have to set pride aside because it's so many kids being placed in classes. They don't care about evaluations. If you ain't saying nothing, mama or daddy, they ain't evaluating nothing. They ain't evaluating nothing. You have to have a good school, a good teacher, someone who's so hardcore for the love of children and learning, that's going to be like, hey, this is what Mikey needs. This is what Jill needs, or whatever the case may be. Other than that, they're going to put your kid in a class with kids who are just excelling or not on the same level. And so that kid is going to be looked at as an outcast automatically, work wise, attention span wise, uh, just the way he interacts or she interacts, everything about your child is going to be outcast. So why would you want your child to go through that now? And then there's so many kids that are depressed. I went to my daughter's school, and I'm always smiling, and I call the little kids, "Hey, princess, hey, beautiful." I just do that. That's just me. And some of the kids will look at me like, lady, hey, like, it's so sad when a kid can't smile. Like, I'll literally be looking at a kid and I'll smile at them because they're staring or looking in my face, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? Hey, with a smile, and they'll be like, hey. Like, I'm like, oh, it just hurts my heart because that kid could be depressed, have anxiety, have so much worry, so much anger, so much overflow of emotions because of what they may be going through. You don't know what they're going through at home. You don't know what they have to face at home. You don't know how much attention they're not getting at home. You know what I mean? And you hear me always talk about the parents who work all the time, overtime, and every time that they got away from their kids to give them all these things that mean nothing when these kids grow up. It means nothing when these kids grow up. Like I talked to y'all before about it. These kids is not going to remember the Jordans. They're not going to remember the Air Maxes, the foams, and all. I can name sneakers for days. and all these things. They're not going to remember that, but they're going to remember how much you stayed away working unnecessary hours to get those things that they didn't need. You have to remember your children do not need what you did not have. I am not trying to give my daughters what I didn't have, because my daughters did not grow up like me, lacking what I lack. They don't need what I didn't have. They need what they need. And as a parent, I have to be in tune to that. What do my children need? Just because I didn't have it, that doesn't mean they need that. You get what I'm saying? Just because of that, you have to realize, get a personal relationship with your children, understand them more, see what they want. Like, for instance, my baby is going to be 16. My middle daughter is going to be 16. I have one that's already in college. I asked her what she want to do. We don't do the birthday things, and I'm pretty sure y'all heard me say this. We don't do the birthday things. I don't spend a lot of money so people can come and be entertained on my dime and walk away, and a lot of times don't bring a gift for the birthday person. You know what I'm saying? I've been stopped at, because if you really think about it, it's a waste of money. You're just impressing people for a day, and after a couple of days, it's out their mind. They're not thinking about it. And it's beautiful. Oh, that was nice. Oh, and it's over. And you don't spend 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever, $100 on a birthday party that more than likely, when they grow up, they're not going to remember. So put in their bank account. Start their college fund. Start a savings account. Start something that is important to them. Something that will mean something to them. You get what I'm saying? Every birthday, just put money in their account. And by the time they 16, well, my oldest daughter, we just went and bought her a car when she was 16. I surprised her with a car. It wasn't no brand new car. I think I paid like $1,500 for the car or whatever. So anywho, my daughter is gonna be turning 16. I said, what you want to do? And I'm thinking, well, sweet 16. She was like, I don't know. I don't want to party or anything, because we don't do them. So it's not nothing I don't get that pressure. Like, oh, my birthday's coming, mommy. Oh, my birthday. I want to do this. I want to do that. Not my kids. They don't. Like, even Rizzy's birthday, she'd be like, oh, can I have somebody come over and we go get pizza and do some movies, go see a movie or something? They're so simple, but you have to raise them that way, because a lot of times when you give your kids the stuff, that's how they feel life is supposed to be. So now what's going to happen is that cycle of you always working all the time, overtime, to give them what you didn't have. They think that's what life is supposed to be, and then they do that. So your grandkids going to go through that, and your great-grandkids going to... You get what I'm saying? Stop it. Stop it. Find out what your kids need, from education-wise to emotional-wise, and try to fill that gap. That's the most important thing you can do. People ask me, like, I don't like working a full-time job for somebody that I have to clock in. I'm always doing gigs and my own thing and doing other stuff, because this right here is the most important time in their life when they're young. Like this is when my baby wants me to be on a field trip, or the teacher calls and needs me to come in, or if the school's doing something, they need somebody to volunteer. I'm there as much as I can be. I like to spend that time. That time means so much more to me than anything. You get what I'm saying? Because I didn't have it like that. I didn't have it like that. But that is something that all children need. That's not something that I'm doing because I didn't have. I'm doing it because that's something you're supposed to do. That's something you're supposed to do. Everybody can't do it. I understand that. But you can make adjustments to make sure certain things are done, where you can interact and be involved in some way, shape, or form. All right, guys, I'm rambling. That's realistic. Parents must be held accountable. Exactly. Anybody have any questions? I took me some medicine. My leg is feeling good. I just threw these in my ear. I had some pearls on, just to felt like I wanted to look like somebody, so I just threw these earrings in. But I got to do these audits, and I got to go to work at 10 to 2. And then I got to get up and braid some hair. And then I got to go to work tomorrow. And then I have another head Saturday, and I got to work Saturday, and I got to work Sunday, and then I'm off throughout the week. But yeah, so that's what's going on with me, and that's where I'm at. I'm really, really, really gung ho on talking to parents and making sure that they really pay attention to their children. Don't let these people just place your kid anywhere. Don't let them place your kid anywhere, because it will affect them later. It will definitely affect them later. If they can be stimulated the right way, I promise you, some things that you probably thought your kids couldn't do, they can. But it has to be found through a teacher who really cares. And there are a lot of them out there. There are. In every school, there's teachers or people who really care to help you. You just have to seek them out and set your pride aside and say, hey, I really think that my child needs more help, different help. However you gotta say it to make you not feel like you're saying or labeling your child. But I'm telling you, if you don't do it, they gonna label them. I promise you, they gonna label them. And you'll go through this school cycle and this school experience from K or pre-K all the way to 12th grade with issues or people always saying that something is wrong with your child or your child is doing this, that, and the third because they don't understand your child. They don't understand your child. Not only do they understand your child, but they don't have time to understand your child because your child was placed in a classroom that they shouldn't be in. So, yeah. All right, guys, y'all can talk to me. Talk to me. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? And Marie, I'm so glad that you are being realistic and trying to get your I think you said your son some help because that means a lot and he will definitely love you for that. A lot of times we just don't want to do it. We don't want to do it because we feel like it's labeling and we feel like it's something we did and it has nothing to do with us. That's just the way God made them. And sometimes it can be, let's be real. You know, if you partake in some drugs or some things that you shouldn't have and you end up having a child, let's be real about it. You know, you can bring upon different elements that occur with your child that will make them have special needs. So yeah, that is also possible. But I don't see anybody interacting, so I'm going to get off. So you're welcome. You are so welcome. You have to be on top of it, girl. On top of it. The conversations. I'm sorry. I'm trying to lick my lips. The conversations that I used to hear from teachers who really just was trying to get a check is so sad because it's like you're talking about someone's child and you're talking about our future. And if you care to care, you would do something about it because everyone that you let slip through the crack and act as if you don't care, if you know you as a teacher don't have it in you to take the time, find out who can and who will with that child so that child is placed in the right spot. So if you're a teacher, find out. You may not be certified and have understanding of how that works or whatever, but you know it's something about this child. He or she just is not grasping, it's not being stimulated, and it just seems like it's not reaching them. Your form of teaching is not reaching them, and there's always an issue where they're acting out. You step up. You step up as a teacher. You talk to the parent and you let them know that their child may need some special help or some extra help. You have a good night too. And I'm about to sign off because I got to get this work done and try to get ready for work by 10 o'clock. I love you guys. I hope you guys have an awesome night. And remember, stick to your script because you are the best at it. Trying to run all these channels is a lot, but I would definitely try to do better with trying to get some more little encouraging things on here throughout the week if I can. I'll try my best to. I will try my best. All right, later, Gators.